Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Tim for the Real Sports Talk. You can hit me up on Twitter at CashKelly_TRST. Let me get you guys updated. We got some big things going on the channel. If you want to go see Peyton Manning coverage, anything like that, head to youtube.com/MrKelstar or just click on the Mr. Kelstar thing above. In terms of interviews, we're going to be talking to Adam Rank of the NFL Network tomorrow about the Saints bounty program and the Peyton Manning release, where we see him going, everything of that nature. We're going to be talking to Barry Enright at some point over the next week, reliever of the Arizona Diamondbacks, a team that a lot of people have in contention, not only for the playoffs for the second straight year, but for the World Series. We're also at some point still hoping to connect with Washington Nationals pitcher Edwin Jackson and do an interview before the end of spring training. And this one is huge. Justin, obviously one of our other hosts, he's on most of these videos, has, so far, it looks like he's going to have an interview with an MLB Hall of Fame pitcher. I'm not going to say any more than that we would be having an MLB Hall of Fame pitcher come on the show, and you're going to have to stay tuned. It would be an exclusive interview in person if this goes down how it's expected, and then there's a chance for one other interview with another Hall of Fame pitcher. So, spring training, we're making the best out of it this year. This is a time where you really get a lot of MLB players willing to do interviews when the rest of the season, during the season, it's very tough, and then after the season, MLB players, a lot of them disappear for 3 or so months in between the season, or however long the off season would be, depending on where your team goes. So, we're taking advantage of that. We're doing big things. Make sure you subscribe above it for great sports talk across the board, NBA, NFL. We're going to be having a March Madness coverage starting pretty much immediately, so it's going to be really a great sports month coming up, and you do not want to miss anything. And if you're subscribed, that won't happen. Now that I've spent time promoting the hell out of the show, let's get to the Cleveland Indians season preview, a team that last year won 82 games. And it was a surprise to people coming off a really bad season that the Indians were able to do what they were able to do, because most people did not see the Indians going far, but they had a few breakout players, and if they could have a few more breakout players this year, things could look up even more. Excuse me. Let's start at the catcher's position as we go through this Indians lineup. Manny Acta, obviously the manager there, catching or starting at catcher, and potentially you could see him moving over to first base at some point too, depending on how things go with backups and over at first base, is Carlos Santana, one of the best young overall players in the game. He's only 25 years old. Last season in 155 games, he only had 239, but he had 27 home runs and 79 RBIs. Alright, Justin has joined us for the pitching section now, as he was just able to get in this right now. What we're going to do is break down their starters, then their relievers, and then we'll play some rapid fire, give you a prediction on the area that we have them in the record. We're not, throughout this thing, going to give you the exact record we have them, because we're going to save that for when we do the divisional preview. And quite frankly, there's a lot changing with teams in terms of injuries and everything like that, and a lot that will still change over the next month. Through spring training, guys can get injured. I mean, last year we saw Adam Wainwright go down, so there's still a lot that's going to change. So we're not going to make exact record predictions now. And I can tell you one thing: the Milwaukee Brewers are a team that I've gone back and forth with. I'll just leave it at that. We'll start at the top of their rotation. The big man that they got and paid a lot of young prospects for is Uballin Jimenez. Last season, after a 19-8, 2.88 ERA season in 2010, 15-12, 3.47 ERA in 2009, and in 2010 he even had 4 complete games. The problem with him throughout those was he would get off to such a hot start and then he would be bad down the stretch. Last season he was just bad from day one. 10-13, 4.68 ERA. Really, I was not sure exactly why the Rockies traded him away because he's still very young, but they did get a nice package with guys like Drew Pomeranz. Justin, I'm having a tough time gauging what to expect this year from Uballin Jimenez. What do you see?
You know what, when you look at it, he did have a pretty shitty start this season. I don't like the cuss, but look at it. 6-9 for the first half for the Colorado Rockies with a 4.46 ERA, and then he jumped from the National League to the American League and started with the Cleveland Indians, where he went 4-4 with a 5.10 ERA. I think he's gonna have a bounce back season. I don't really think that it's gonna be an exact match from 2010. I can see him hitting a solid 15 games win season this year because this team does have some minor pop to it. I think there's going to be some run support, and I think it's going to have a pretty decent season. So this is his first full year in the American League, and I can't see a 2009 repeat from this guy.
Yeah, 2009 I think is more the type of season you gotta look at. He has great stuff, but I just don't see him doing what he did in 2010.
There's no 2010 season for Uballin this upcoming year.
350 right around there. If you get that from the Indians, you gotta be pretty content with it, I think. Even though it's probably not as good as what you would have hoped for. But what they're doing here, I mean, if you look around this division, it's actually a pretty good hitting division that only improved. The Tigers were a really solid hitting team. And while they lose a 300 hitter in Victor Martinez for this entire season, guess what? They got Prince Fielder now. The Minnesota Twins are gaining back Justin Morneau and Joe Mauer. The Royals have a really strong young lineup coming up with guys like Mike Moustakas, and the list goes on. Salvador Perez, I think it is, their catcher. So they have a really solid young lineup. I mean, if you look around that division, it really is a pretty good hitting division that's only getting better. So I don't think that he was in the NL West and he wasn't having success, which is probably the worst hitting division in the league. Maybe the AL West last year besides the Rangers. But overall, I don't see it improving by coming to this division for a full year. Fausto Carmona, a.k.a. Roberto Hernandez Herrera, will be their number 2 starter. Was in a lot of trouble this offseason with the illegal visa and everything, changing his name, all that stuff. Hopefully he has that all sorted out, but he's got a lot more to sort out after a really poor season last year. 7-15 with the 5.25 ERA. This guy's been one of the most inconsistent pitchers throughout his career. You never know what to expect. He is currently on MLB's restricted list, so we're not exactly sure how that's going to work out. But assuming he's out there day 2 as their number 2 starter, I really don't know what to expect at him. He was 19-8. 2007, that was back when they still had CC Sabathia, even Cliff Lee, but he was just getting back into the thick of things. And he looked really promising. Then he had a 5.44 ERA in 2008, 2009. He had a 6.32 ERA, and they really looked stupid for signing him to an extension. And then in 2010, he came back a little bit, 3.77 ERA. That's not great, but it's an improvement. And then last year, he dropped back to a 5.25 ERA. So I don't know what to expect out of Fausto Carmona either.
I seriously don't either. I don't even know if he's going to start the season on the roster because he still has those visa issues. And I think he's trying to actually change his name to Fausto Carmona and keep it as his as he just changed his name or something. But yes, you are right, Tim. He has been inconsistent his whole MLB career, and when he comes down to it, I think he could be a solid number 2 if he comes back.